So now let's switch to the demo of bookings, billings, and backlog analytics. Next slide. So what we're going to show in the demo is really do the demo in 3 parts, and we'll take about 15 minutes to do the demo. The first thing is a deep analysis of bookings, billings, and backlog individually. So we always say that before you can connect the dots, you want to actually be able to look at, do a very deep analysis of the individual pieces. Part 2 is we're going to show you a scenario where the product really helps an end user such as a CFO connect the dots and solve a business problem. And then part 3 is really the ad hoc capability to answer additional business questions with a total of 31 subject areas. We're only going to show you one of those subject areas around inventory and backlog, but there's a total of 31 subject areas that you get with supply chain analytics and financial analytics that cover the entire range of things, AP, AR, GL for financials, and order fulfillment and inventory and order booking for supply chain. So Siddharth, can you switch over to the demo, please? So Sid Singh is doing the demo for us. And what you're seeing here is Oracle Supply Chain and Financial Analytics with Oracle Business Intelligence as the reporting tool. So I'll just spend a minute or two orienting everyone on the tool and some of its capabilities, and then we'll dive into the content. So it's a fully web-based product. You've got, along the top, you've got tabs that let you go to different content areas, overview, bookings, billings, and backlog, right there, which we'll go through in a second. You've also got below filters, such as year, quarter, month, anything you'd like that help you filter the data. So in fact, right now, I'm looking at Q2. I could switch it to Q3 and to look at that data as well. Hit the apply button, and all my data on my dashboard would change to reflect the filters that I'm selecting. The other thing that we'll go through is some of the capabilities. So let's dive into the content. This is my overview dashboard. So as a CFO, here I can see all of my information side by side. I can see my booking information, my billing, and my backlog, and key metrics. So if I go through bookings, what's the ordered amount? How much are the return amounts? Returns are very expensive for the organization. What's my quarterly order growth? Are we growing as a company? Green, you can have the green, yellow, red highlights in terms of what's considered a good situation. So if our target was not 6% but 10% growth, this would show as yellow instead of green. Going to the right, I've got billing metrics, invoiced amount, invoice discount amount, a number of invoices, and so on. And one of the key things is that Oracle Supply Chain and Financial Analytics is a transactional level data warehouse, which means that if I want to drill to detail and look at the invoiced amount of $1.75 billion and actually get down to invoice level, I can do that. I simply click on it, and I go to a billing detail screen, which shows me the invoice level detail behind that number. So sales invoice numbers, invoice statuses, the amount invoiced, and so on, with one simple click. Now I click return, and I go back to where I am. Moving to the right, I've got also a lot of information on backlog, both my financial backlog and my operational backlog, which is what I typically focus on. Also delinquent backlog amount, where I've simply got orders that have been pending for an awfully long time. Again, on this overview page, let's scroll down to that. I've also got an invoice trending report with a slider bar at the top that I can look at different weeks, and it dynamically updates. I've got a backlog trend. So this dashboard's really showing me everything I need to know at a glance. Scroll down a little bit more. A key report in the supply chain is top 10 orders not shipped and days over promise. So this tells me where we're falling down in terms of not meeting our commitments to our customers. Critical report to manage our order fulfillment. Another key report is inventory snapshot. As a CFO, I'm interested in how much inventory we're carrying, and from an operational perspective also, how much inventory do we have to fulfill our customers' requests. Scroll up, please. Now let's focus a little bit more on bookings. Let's click on the bookings link, and here I've got an in-depth view of bookings. I've got an order and cancel amount trend. Canceled orders really show me where customers have decided for one reason or another to cancel their orders, which is a very bad sign from a sales perspective. Return amount as a percentage of orders. This is something we track very carefully because returns are very expensive for us in terms of refurbishing things and handling and everything else. So that's a critical metric. Top 10 customers by order margin. So who are the customers that are really where we're earning the best margins? So this is a number. This is a thing that as a CFO I look at very closely. Like from a product lifecycle perspective, top 10 products by order margin. So the Envoy Deluxe laptop, which we'll talk about a little bit later, is our newest product and enjoys the highest margins. So I'm very interested to know that we're maintaining our margins on that product. Scroll down. I've also got top 10 orders and then top canceled or blocked orders. So very much getting into how much revenue have we lost due to canceled orders or blocked orders. And the blocking could be due to a credit issue where we blocked an order because the customer's credit rating isn't what it should be. They're behind on their payments and so on. But this is critical information for me as a CFO or Chief Operating Officer to know. Scroll up, please. Next, let's look at billings. So billings is directly under my control as the CFO. So one thing I track very carefully is a book-to-bill ratio. Want to typically see that close to 1. See that it's dropped, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Very focused on the right on top 10 customers by overdue balances. So again, something we track very closely from a cash flow perspective, and also what the credit rating of our customers is. Scroll down. Top 10 shipments not invoiced. So this is something as a CFO, I'm really interested in. Why haven't, we've shipped to these customers, but why haven't we invoiced? And what's the lag in this case between the time we ship and the time we invoice? So I'm seeing that we're averaging 22 days between after we ship to when we invoice, which is a huge cash flow impact. And then on the pure sales front, I can see who the top performers are from a sales perspective, not only what they've ordered, but also what they've invoiced. So I can look for trends such as John Adams is great at getting the orders in, but somehow his orders don't get invoiced in a timely way. Scroll up. And lastly, let's take a look at backlog. So backlog is something where our manufacturing managers are obviously trying to manage between having too much inventory or too little inventory. So here I can see backlog by product family, again, a book-to-bill ratio trend. I can also see here top blocked, unscheduled, and delinquent orders. So which customers are we likely to have customer satisfaction issues with because we blocked their orders, or we simply haven't scheduled them from a manufacturing perspective, or they're delinquent. I can also see current backlog and inventory details by product and drill down and see what that backlog consists of. So all of these things that are in blue are drillable to detail, so I can actually take action on them. Okay, so now hopefully you can appreciate how much detail is available in the individual subject areas of booking, billings, and backlog, where you've got transactional level detail in all of these different areas. Now let's actually take it up a level and talk and see how this capability also allows us to connect the dots between these three different areas. So now, as a CFO, as I mentioned earlier, the book-to-bill ratio is something, and this is one scenario we're going to go through, and there's easily 25 or 30 scenarios, Kushal, our subject matter expert, was telling me, that come up, which really where you need to look at more than just one part of the pyramid. So here I'm noticing that my book-to-bill ratio is going down. It's, in fact, as I said, I'd like to keep it at 1, and all of a sudden it's gone down to 0.3. So that's really concerning. I look on the right, and I see that, in fact, my invoicing is, in fact, increasing. So it looks like we have an orders issue where all of a sudden our order volume in week 27 has gone down very significantly. So I really want to get to the bottom of this and see what's causing this. So let's drill down on this, and now I go to my orders dashboard, my bookings dashboard, and I look now and see, okay, is it a canceled order issue? I look at the dashboard on the left, certainly not. In fact, my cancellations have almost gone to 0. Is it a return issue, which is causing my net bookings to be low? Again, not the case. My returns are actually way down. So if it's not a billing issue, it's not a booking issue. Now let's look at backlog and see if that's causing the issue. And immediately I see in the top left that I've got a huge backlog with my Envoy Deluxe laptop. And if you remember, this is my highest margin product. It's the new product that we've introduced to compete against the Apple Mac. And I've got a huge backlog in this area. And clearly, if customers cannot receive the product they want in a timely basis, they're simply not going to place the order. So it looks like that's really what's causing our order volume to go down as much as it is. But what do I do with this information? I need a little more detail, which is bringing us to the third part of our demo. I need to know what's driving this backlog. Could be a number of factors, but now I want to be able to at least get a first take on what could be possibly causing the issue. So what we're going to do now is create an ad hoc report that uses this report as a starting point. So all I have to do is click on the Analyze link, the Edit link. And now we get to the third part of our demo, the ability to create ad hoc reports. And this is an extremely powerful capability. So what I'm looking at here is, again, that same report that we saw on the dashboard, but now I can add additional columns that give me greater insight. So in this case, what I've typically seen in the past is it's either a plant issue or a storage location issue. So let's actually drag over to the plant location and see where the backlog, which plant is responsible for the backlog for the Deluxe laptop. And what I'm seeing here is that, in fact, it's the Denver, and in fact, it's fairly consistent across our 4 manufacturing plants. All of them seem to have almost an identical amount of backlog. And I'm going to start as an action now. I'm going to start with the Denver plant manager and ask him what's driving this backlog. And then we'll talk to Seattle, and it could be, the backlog could be due to a supplier issue. It could be due to a manufacturing issue, but that's clearly having a huge impact on our sales. So with one click, I was able to get more insight into my business problem and have actions in terms of next steps. There's additional subject areas beyond the sales inventory and backlog subject area. So if we actually go into analysis, we can also see that we have a number of subject areas that would also be potentially useful. They're all in the sales area. And what you'll see here is you've got backlog history, backlog lines, booking lines. You've got inventory and backlog, which is the one we're in right now, invoice lines, order process. So this is the 18 pick lines, 18 subject areas that I was talking about for supply chain and order management analytics. In addition to that, I've got 13 subject areas for financials. So some of the billing information is part of the accounts receivable area. So we have accounts receivable balance, invoice aging, overview, transactions, 4 subject areas just for AR. Similarly, 4 subject areas for AP, as well as a number of subject areas for GL, budget and expenses, cash flow, profitability, revenue, and just a transactional subject area as well. So that's the end of the demo. And so really there were 3 things in the demo that we wanted to show. One was the deep analysis of bookings, billings, and backlog individually. The ability to drill to detail, see transactional level information, really go deep into these areas. The second thing we wanted to show was an integrated view of bookings, billings, and backlog. So the ability to connect the dots, which as a CFO I was able to do, and figure out that the drop in my book-to-bill ratio was due to a backlog issue. And then part 3, we were able to go into Oracle Answers and use the ad hoc capability to figure out that the Denver plant and the Galway plant were the main contributors, and I now have a clear action item to talk to those plant managers and figure out what's going on in terms of the Envoy Deluxe laptop product and see how we can clear up that backlog. Next slide. So once customers see this, we typically get asked the question, well, how can I get this tomorrow sort of thing? So wanted to spend a couple of minutes on what the typical methodology is for these kinds of solutions. And what you're seeing here is KPI's implementation methodology specifically designed for Oracle BI apps with a vision workshop stage, requirements gathering, design, and templates for every phase of the project. Pre-built code templates in some cases, all of those capabilities, so that, because as this is what we do, this is all we do, is Oracle Business Intelligence. Next slide. And a typical project that uses the Oracle BI apps, meaning financial analytics or supply chain analytics, typically a 14-week project starting with a vision workshop, 3 weeks for requirements where we actually install the product, do a full load, and do a requirements analysis using our requirements template, 3 weeks of design, and then 5 weeks of development and a few weeks of testing to get into production 14 weeks. So this is, again, using the Oracle BI apps, and typically if you're building a custom solution, it's typically 2 to 3 times the cost and 2 to 3 times the timeline, depending, of course, on how many people you put on the project. Next slide. So we wanted to spend time talking through a case study of one high-tech manufacturing company and how they solved this problem. I'm going to turn it over to Kushal Swarnakar, who's been managing this project for us.
Hello, everybody. So this is a high-tech manufacturing company. They make networking products. Their sales are over $1 billion, and they sell through distributors. So they had POS sales data to understand bookings, and they also use Demantra along with Oracle ERP EBS 11.5.10. So they use 11.5.10 EBS for their ERP and Demantra for their sales forecasting. So their challenge was to get the POS sales data from their other systems and compare that with forecasts to understand forecast accuracy. They also wanted to analyze inventory supply on hand and also to understand what is coming in from their suppliers, like what has been shipped but has not in their books yet, and also what is in the distributors have on hand, right? They wanted to understand the whole inventory cycle to understand true backlog as compared to their sales forecast and also a comparison to their POS sales data. And they wanted to proactively monitor book-to-ship ratio and book-to-bill ratio. Being a high-tech manufacturing company, they had a very high product lifecycle obsolescence, right? Because there are a lot of competitive pressure and things change very fast. So the product's lifecycle is pretty short. So they wanted to proactively monitor book-to-ship ratio and book-to-bill ratio and combine the data from multiple sources, ERPs, not only ERPs, financials, and order management, but also from the POS sales data, Demantra data, all into one data warehouse to do booking, billings, and backlog reporting. What we delivered was that we actually leveraged the Oracle BI apps, financials and order management analytics, to get data from Oracle ERP, the 11.5.10, and also brought in demand data for the sales forecasting, and extended the BI apps to support POS sales data from their POS source systems. And then we integrated the common information model. Especially we added like little bit of one or two subject areas, one for demand, one forecasting, and one for POS sales data, and combine that with the rest of the ERP data to produce combined matrix. The business benefit was that they have now increased forecast accuracy, right, which is very, very critical for their business because they want to manage inventory properly. So they wanted to improve inventory turn and forecast accuracy. So now instead of earlier, before the BI apps were deployed, they were doing all of these things with manual Excel spreadsheets. Like Sid showed earlier on, they will download data from multiple Excel spreadsheets, combine them with these VLOOKUPs and everything to create combined reports, which had no ability to drill down, no ability to trending, nothing. Now with the BI apps, they get this thing almost every day and updated reports with drill down and all in one dashboard, right? So they actually have a combo report that shows everything, POS sales data, forecast, inventory balance, everything into one combo report that their senior management can monitor. They also are using this application to properly plan retail store inventory on hand penetration, right? So it's not only they want to also understand inventory is a huge cost item for them, right? They also wanted to improve the penetration of inventory on hand at the retail store. The project was completed in a little bit more than 14 weeks. It took actually, I think, 16 weeks, primarily focused on the POS integration. That took a little longer with the data integration, data cleanup. But within 16 weeks, they went live, and they rolled it out to some of the executive management initially, and now they are planning to roll it out to many more of the line managers through more secure data sets. Sid?
Yeah, great. Thanks very much, Kushal. That's a fantastic story. Next slide. So really, at this point, let's open it up to Q&A and next steps, and we'll just have a slide in terms of what people can do if they want more information. So can we go to the next slide? So this has some contact information. Again, if you're somebody who doesn't have the Oracle solution or is interested in finding out more about supply chain and financial analytics, we recommend you contact your Oracle rep. If you already own the product and want to know about implementation, please contact us through the information. And then we've got additional success stories up on our website as well as training available. So with that, Jeremiah, I'll open it up to questions.